So that's starting to leverage some of the GPS capabilities within our mobile environment. If we look at the smartphone and tablet usage inside IBM today, here's what the breakdown looks like. Now, this is just the smartphone market, and we have close to 50,000 devices inside IBM employees with smartphones. Now, we have in fact, we have over 100,000 different devices supported by IBM, but only 50 of them are considered smartphones. The other 50 are your traditional phones where you're not going to get your email, your calendar, and some of that web meeting capabilities. But what's interesting to look at today is over 50% of our usage is in this BlackBerry space. In fact, BlackBerry's been a partner of ours for quite some time. They're still a very close partner of ours. In fact, if you have any rules or regulations or certain IBM executives with confidentiality agreements, they have no choice but to use BlackBerry. It is by far right now in the market the most secure mobile device that we have certainly seen, and is our standard for any approved executives that need to adhere to certain standards. But what's interesting here is, I'll show you just in a second, our predictions for 2011 and what our smartphone usage is going to look like. Now, in order to get there, we need to understand some key drivers. And a key initiative that we have inside IBM is this idea of bring your own device. And if you look at some of the past versus present reasons, this clearly makes sense. 5, 10 years ago, IBM employees, we provided them the latest and greatest technology. They came into their IBM offices, they had the best computers, they had the BlackBerry phones, they had Nokia phones. We provided them the greatest technology. That's certainly changing now. We can't keep up as an organization. Our mobile and our PC refresh cycle of every 2 to 3 years is not as fast as employees are doing at home. They're buying phones, they're upgrading phones every year. They're buying PCs every 18 months. Right? So we're finding now that employees actually have better equipment at home, their own personal devices, than we're providing them. So how can we look to kind of marry that together? How can we allow them to continue with their personal devices and hook them up to IBM's network? Something else you can kind of see here is that we certainly lag behind our competitors in this space with the amount of employees that we have enabled for smartphones today. And we know, if we look at our employee base, we support about 50,000 on smartphones, but there's probably well over 100,000 that have smartphones that they bought themselves. How can we transition this model and enable them to provide the capabilities on their own personal smartphones to get back into IBM's intranet environment? And so if we fast forward and we look at, by end of year 2011, what our projections look like inside IBM for our smartphones, we're expecting to get over 100,000 employees enabled. Right. But you can actually see the growth across these different devices. One of them here, Google Android, over 7,000% growth we expect in the next 15 months in terms of the devices. Now, a couple key factors why we're going down this initiative. Right. Number one is, I already talked about, employees that are going out there, they're buying their own phones. They're willing to spend the money to purchase, to have an updated phone, as long as we can just help them get it on the network. Two, in doing so, there's a tremendous cost savings, specifically for IBM and probably for many of you in the room. We provide what we call Traveler, our email, calendar, and contacts solution for all of our notes install base. Now, obviously, that's the solution that we use inside IBM, so there's no additional cost for us to enable a Google Android or an Apple OS for Traveler to get them these capabilities. Because there is an added cost, and for many organizations, and even for IBM sometimes, it's a sunk cost. We've already paid for a BlackBerry Enterprise licensing server. Right. So we're looking at a model where we absolutely are going to continue to maintain this, and this is still our standard, and will be our standard for certain executives. But how do we enable this other workforce that are going out there and buying these other applications, and doing so in a way that we can, in fact, cut costs inside IBM? Now, the last thing that I really wanted to talk about is we're also seeing a major disruption in the marketplace around social networking capabilities. Obviously, everyone has seen this in the consumer space. This is another place where IBM started to hedge their bets around 2004, 2005, thinking that, we think there's going to be a market for this social software, both inside and outside the firewall, providing a set of secure services, not in a public cloud. And we started that journey and introduced the market in 2007 in this space, and we're continuing to see that grow. I think most organizations that we talk to now would agree that social networking, social media, social collaboration solutions are here to stay. We need to start to look to more embrace that technology. And so in doing so, we're introducing kind of two new themes and two new key projects underway. One is this idea of an exceptional web experience. This is really focused on business to consumer, government to citizen, and business to business collaboration, typically through web browsers and through mobile browsers, and introducing better mobile technology in that way. The other key theme that we're looking at is an exceptional work experience, workforce optimization. How can my employees better collaborate with one another? And there's two key projects underway, multi-year projects, multi-year vision projects, one of them being IBM Project North Star we recently announced a couple months ago, and the second being IBM Project Vulcan. And you're going to hear a little bit more later on today around North Star, but I thought I would take you through kind of our strategy in Vulcan. Vulcan is our multi-year vision for an exceptional work experience focused on your knowledge workers and optimizing how they do work. Bringing better collaboration solutions to them at the glass and mixing that together with key business analytics and key business applications as well. Now, what's also something that's fundamentally key here is we're looking at some advanced technology. Another place we're starting to look at hedging our bets on is HTML5. If we can actually start to build this next evolution of the workspace for users on HTML5, a couple different benefits that we get through that. One is there's a new model there for offline, so I can actually start to better have a web experience in an offline mode versus an online mode. But particularly, and maybe more important, is around mobility. What we're finding with HTML5 is that leveraging that code and leveraging that technology and building solutions on top of that code base allow you to easily or more easily bring down those websites and those applications to mobile devices on microbrowsers. And there's tremendous cost savings for companies to do so in that way. And so this is also a place that we're starting to see, I think we're just at the beginning of this battle we're going to see over the next 3 to 5 years around apps on these devices versus just browser-based interfaces. Now, certainly today, there's a variety of reasons why companies are building applications. They tend to be faster, and users like the capability to be able to download them, modify them around on their devices. And third, and probably most importantly for the people building apps, they're making money off of these. But I think we are going to fundamentally see a longer-term shift into people potentially slowly moving away from apps and wanting to leverage more microbrowser interfaces. There's nothing more that they need to download to their clients. The developers don't need to build additional applications to support a variety of different devices. Now, fundamentally, there's some things that need to happen in order for this to make for this to really work as well. As we need to do a better job even on these microbrowsers around page refreshes. One of the biggest problems that we have is if you're browsing around a website on your microbrowser, if you need to go back or you need to hit a different link, it typically will do a complete page refresh. There's lots of network utilization being lost there in doing that. So we think HTML5 is certainly a technology that's going to help in this space.